Hello friends, today we will talk about the mistakes, namely 12 mistakes that are frequently committed in recovery that could lead to a decrease in the quality of life in sobriety and even increase the risk of relapsing into addiction. These 12 mistakes, this list has been compiled by me according to scientific facts, my own personal experience, my personal observations, worldwide practice, and the advice of specialists. So, let's get into it. The first mistake in recovery is to forget about your illness or condition. So, no matter how long we are in recovery, there will never come a time when we will be out of danger of relapsing into addiction. There will never come such a time. First of all, this is a lifelong diagnosis, and that's a fact. Second of all, we have an addictive type of personality, which means that we will always be inclined to abuse the things we like. And that will never pass. So we will live with this type of personality forever. I mean, for as long as we live. So do not make the mistake of ever forgetting your condition. That could lead to potentially doing certain things or stop doing certain things that could lead to relapse into addiction again. And we will talk about them soon. The second mistake, friends, is to obtain other addictions while in recovery. And I will talk about two groups here. The first one is switching the initial addiction to another one. So for example, a drug addict that switched to being a workaholic. And I know lots of cases and we see them all the time. And I guess that's better than being a drug addict. But there's no way we can talk about a quality of life or a quality of recovery while still being addicted to something, even work. Gabor Mate said that, and I agree with him, society has divided all addictions into two groups, acceptable and unacceptable. So drugs, alcohol, gambling, and all those things are perceived as bad. Workaholism, internet addiction, sex addiction, food addiction are not really seen as bad things. So don't just switch your addiction to another one. That's not a quality. That's not the quality of life that you want. And the second group is the one that acquires certain addictions while in recovery. I'm talking about internet, Facebook addictions, sex addictions, food addictions, even these puer tea addictions, which I see very often nowadays. So these are all good things if you use them correctly. So please, just be honest with yourself and monitor your inner state. If it's something that you cannot control, if it harms you, if you have to do it rather than want to do it, then you have a problem. Please do not acquire new addictions. They will decrease the quality of life significantly, and they could lead to potentially relapsing into drugs because you have an addictive type of behavior again. Don't do it, friends. Just be honest with yourself. If you have to do certain things rather than want to do them, you have a problem, and stop right there. Just solve it immediately. The third mistake, friends, is to stop spiritual practices. I've already talked in a previous video about my top 3 practices that help me stay satisfied and happy in recovery. And if you haven't watched them, please click on the pop-up banner or go to the link in the description of this video and watch it. So, as I said in the first mistake, we will always be addicts. Always. That's a lifelong condition, which means that we have to have certain spiritual practices that will help us remain sober and happy and fulfilled in recovery. So, if you're doing them now, don't ever stop. Don't ever stop. That's a big mistake. There will never come such a time when we will be out of danger, or when we will be able to seize all these practices in order to remain sober. We've seen a lot of cases of relapse into addiction. Lots of them. So please don't experiment. Just keep doing what you're doing and you'll be fine. Mistake number 4 is to ignore or suppress emotions. And there's been a very interesting study that pointed out that being unable to identify your emotions might lead to relapse. So we probably seen these cases where a person is not feeling really well, emotionally, and you ask them what's wrong, and they say, I don't know, there's something wrong. I just don't feel right. But the person is unable to identify this emotion, and that is very dangerous, because if you don't identify it, you won't be able to process it, which means you'll start storing them deep down inside, because they don't just go away. They never do. You just keep storing them. So if you are unable to identify your emotions, please start learning right away. Go to specialists, psychologists. They'll help you start identifying. If you can identify them, then please just don't leave them unsolved. Process them. Do not store them. Do not suppress them, because they never go away. Mistake number 5, postponing solving problems. In the process of recovery, in our everyday life, we will meet certain situations. We will face certain difficulties, which will create certain emotions as well. We will have different circumstances. Never, ever delay solving a problem, because one of the biggest enemies of an addict in recovery is building up internal pressure. This could lead to us seeking relief, and we know a very quick and efficient way, but that's not good for us. So if it's a problem with your spouse, partner, friend, boss, business partner, someone in church, it doesn't matter. Just don't postpone, because you will start building up internal pressure. And it doesn't matter how much you work, how tired you are, how much you have on your shoulders right now, because there's nothing more important than life and our sobriety. Nothing. You have to set your priorities right. So if your resources start running out, there's a way to build them up again. There's a way to solve lots of things. You don't just ignore your problems because you're tired, because you work a lot, because you've got a lot on your shoulders right now. That's not how it works. We do not have the luxury of ignoring these problems. I mean, people who do not suffer from addiction or don't have this condition, that could lead to depression, apathy and stuff like that. In our case, it leads to relapse. So don't build this pressure up. Solve your problems as you face them. The next mistake is a very superficial choice of your partner, and even friends, I would add, is a very superficial attitude towards these choices, which are very, very important. And we know lots of cases when a person has gone through rehabilitation, he's recovered, he's cleaned up his internal world, he's got new principles, or she's got new principles, new values, a different attitude towards life, and she returns to the same spouse, for example, or chooses the wrong partner to begin with. It's a fact, it's a well-known fact that this period of desire, sexual desire of a partner, or even the period of being in love, it messes with the neocortex, right? It even almost switches it off. And the neocortex is the part of the brain that helps you estimate things, assess things, and make reasonable, understandable choices. It's the part that helps you plan and look ahead. It's the rational part, if you want. So, don't make this choice in these periods. You probably went through rehabilitation. You're in recovery. And your hormones are just running wild. And you want a partner, a girlfriend, a boyfriend. That's fine. But don't make serious commitments, such as marriage and stuff like that, in this period. Be very reasonable with these types of choices, because they can lead to a relapse. So be serious about the choices you make in this context. The next mistake, friends, is the inability to cope with frustration. And it's about all people, basically. We all feel frustrated from time to time. It's just how we cope with it that matters. And for an addict who just went through rehabilitation, and he is brand new, and he is out of the rehab, and he expects that the world will just fall on their knees and just praise them and admire them and just hand them everything they want, like success, money, a beautiful wife, yachts, a reputation, self-realization, stuff like that. And it's not how it happens. It takes time. It's a very serious and long-term investment. And when people don't get what they want, when they want, they get frustrated. They get disappointed. And it turns out that this sober life that everybody was talking about in rehabilitation is not really that great. So they might return to drugs, alcohol, and old habits. So, learn to cope with frustration. It takes time. Life is never going to be how we want it to be. It's just how it is. Adapt. Adapt, do your thing, and be persistent. Be consistent, and be patient. Just don't do any sudden movements when you feel frustrated. Don't act on these types emotions. Wait it out. Talk to someone you trust. The next mistake, friends, is to experiment with the limits of things that you are allowed in recovery. You might see people that drink a bit of alcohol in recovery. They smoke, and they like use sex workers from time to time and stuff like that. They can go to a casino from time to time, and it somehow works out. They somehow manage to do it. We don't really know what's going on inside these people or inside their families, inside their homes. What we see is only a fraction of the objective reality. So don't trust these looks. And even if you will succeed and you'll be able to manage a beer or two every once in a while without relapsing, maybe. But do you really want to risk everything you have right now? Do you really want to put your life on the line to find out if this beer or cigarette or whatever prostitute is worth it? I don't think so. That's just not reasonable. So please, we've seen lots of these cases, and they lead to relapse. Please do not experiment. The price is your life. And for people that think that, well, I used to be a heroin addict, I don't have a problem with alcohol. I can manage a few beers every now and then. Well, no, because it turned out that alcohol activates the same receptors in the brain that are activated by opiates, like heroin. So these mu1 receptors are activated by the very beer you're chasing. So is it really worth it? Up to you, but I don't think so. The next mistake, friends, is to compare yourself to other people. And it's not about addicts only. I mean, all people do it. And along with social media, the appearance of social media, it's increased incredibly. So no matter where you look, there will always be someone prettier, more successful, with the more beautiful wife, with the more luxurious car, with more money, with more success. But what is success, really? Is that only money and material things? Things that you can actually see? No, it's not. What's the point in being rich and having a business and having this reputation if you don't have a quality relationship with your wife, with your kids, if you don't have any other interests, if you don't know how to spend some quality time, if you don't enjoy anything else? Is that success? I don't think so. So the only reasonable comparison, in this regard is me today and me yesterday. Compare yourself only to yourself in the past and monitor your progress or a lack of progress. That's the only reasonable comparison. Please do not compare yourself to anyone else ever again. That leads to depression. That leads to anxiety. That leads to inferiority, feeling inferior. And that is all very disappointing and sad and painful and uncomfortable at least. And you might seek relief. The next mistake, friends, is increasing the dose of pleasure constantly. So there's a phenomenon which is called hedonistic adaptation. And we people, we tend to get used to things and get used to any level of pleasure, no matter how great it is. So if you think about it, the first time you've been on vacation in a place, it was incredibly nice. But you've been there 2, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and it's not that great anymore. So you seek a new, much better place. So you go to that place and it's incredible. And you go there 2, 3, 5 times, it's not as great anymore. So you seek another, even greater place. And that's applicable to absolutely anything. Absolutely anything. So don't. Just monitor your inner state. And if you start feeling unsatisfied, if you don't find pleasure in the things you used to, don't just keep increasing this dose of pleasure, because life cannot offer us an unlimited sources of pleasure, forever increasing. That's not how it works. And that's why people who win lotteries sometimes end up by killing themselves, basically, because they reach this dead end where they've tried everything and they just kept increasing. A Ferrari, a yacht, 1 girl, 2 girls, 3 girls, 10 girls, and so on. Don't. Just have certain practices that will return you to a normal state where the normal dose of dopamine will be enough. Like the simplest thing I can think of, just go camping without your phone, laptop, without anything, without all the modern comforts we're used to. Just go there. Just read and think and write your thoughts and analyze your life. And when you return, you will appreciate all these things again. You will love them. Have a practice that will keep you stable and fulfilled. The next mistake is remaining a consumer in relationships. Drug addicts are very egocentric. Very. So it's all about me. I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm withdrawing, I need help, I don't feel well, I need money, and it's all about me. So remaining in such a position in recovery is not a very reasonable thing to do, because you remain dependent from the people that give you money. For example, if you've underwent rehabilitation and you're in recovery, but you still take money from your parents for stuff because you want stuff, that's not a very good idea. Because you remain dependent, you still have a dependent type of behavior. Don't. Start giving. Start thinking about what you can give rather than take from people. Start giving more, because it enriches your inner world much more than just taking stuff. Start giving love, attention, compliments, support, money, anything you have. Just start giving. You'll feel much better and you'll be much safer in recovery. Last one, friends. It's a very important one. It's about the entire planet, not only about addicts. It's an incredibly big mistake to think that your inner emptiness, that inner empty part, can be filled with external stuff. So if you're not enjoying life, if you're not satisfied. Don't make the mistake of thinking that a new watch, a new iPhone, a new car, a new wife, a new girlfriend, a new whatever will fill this emptiness that you feel inside. It's not how it works. It's a spiritual problem, and you need to solve it on a spiritual level. Don't think that you'll be happy when you'll have a car, a new watch, a fancy phone, lots of cash, business, yachts, success, whatever. It's not how it works. If you don't appreciate what you have now, you won't appreciate what you gather in the future. That's just how it works. You won't be able to fill this void inside with external stuff. Don't make this mistake. Solve this issue on a spiritual level. Friends, with all that being said, just please monitor your inner state all the time. Be honest with yourself. If you feel a certain discomfort, find out the reason. If you feel a void, don't try to fill it with external stuff. Please go through this list again. Think about all of this and use this. Use this to remain safe, fulfilled, and happy in recovery. I wish you all the luck in the world. Thank you for watching.